Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you the story of this. And I think it's hard for people to really appreciate. We came over and we started working on what I think all of us believed would be the greatest hotel resort in the world.
We broke ground in 2002.
There were probably about 20 to 30 of us at that time that had come over from Mirage Resorts.
Yeah, we were actually in the Desert Inn Hotel. So our offices were in the hotel rooms. They removed the beds. We had desks in there.
On the 5th floor, looking out at Red Rock, best office I've ever had, big window. And there was just a handful of us.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a balcony. We had natural light. Our restrooms, we actually used the rooms in the DI, the former DI rooms.
We had a cast of characters in there, and we always had some interesting visitors that stopped by. A lot of legendary stories and ghost stories that were going on in that building. File cabinet drawer opening every now and then just on its own, or stuff like that. It was kind of funny.
So if you think about it, the Desert Inn Tower where we were, that is where Encore sits.
So there was some interesting times back then because it was such a small team.
To open now, a lot of day oneers came from Mirage or Bellagio or Treasure Island, but I did not. So I'm sitting in these rows and I've got people from the Cage and people from pit admin and people from casino hosts and people from F&B accounting and all surrounding me, and they're creating their policies and procedures and creating forms and documents and creating compendiums and interviewing and hiring people. And I'm looking around thinking, wow, these people really know what they're doing. And I was kind of like, okay, I gotta get up to speed here. I got a lot to learn.
You know, we were all kind of just like this team that all worked together.
It was a much smaller team of people in the beginning. Before we grew and grew, we would do things like, there'd be a Friday barbecue in the parking lot, and we'd have a barbecue for lunch.
Yeah, every week, and it was great. It was a great bonding thing, I think, with everybody. We just felt like we were family, even from the beginning. I mean, I was actually offered my old job back, and I was like, no, I'm happy right here. This is actually where I'm going to retire.
And fun fact, at that time, it was going to be named Le Rêve.
They felt that Le Rêve was, even though it was a beautiful painting, a Picasso painting, and we had the actual painting here, that it just wasn't, it would be hard for people to remember and to pronounce. And they wanted him to make a statement. And so that's why it's just Wynn.
The Wynn was being built at the time. There was maybe a little bit of a talk of what would be the next phase, and that's Encore. But really the focus was Wynn and getting it open.
Yeah, I remember the golf course was just, dirt.
That December, I think, was one of the wettest Decembers we had. I believe there was about a foot of mud around every place outside of it. So it was ugly, really ugly. Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess.
There was really very little of the Wynn Tower that was up at that point.
Now the outside was not done because we could see them testing the glass, what the glass of the windows would look like in the tower. Testing grass, I think, for the golf course at the time.
The entire casino, it still had a dirt floor. It was cement. There was just concrete everywhere.
The casino floor was like a wind tunnel in the wintertime, it was cold. And they tried putting plastic up, it just blew it out. And we knew what was coming, but it wasn't there yet.
There was just a feeling of excitement, and there was this electric energy in the air.
Where I thought the excitement really began was when our HR team moved over to what we called, the trailers, and opened the applications, and to see the masses of people that lined up just in hopes of getting a job at the Wynn was something I'll never forget.
Everybody wanted to work at the Wynn. It was a really big deal in town.
There were pictures in the newspaper, the plan of how the casino was going to be built.
And it was a huge momentum, right? Everyone was super, super excited.
People wanted to come. They want to work for the best.
What, 110,000 people applied for jobs?
Yeah, over 100,000 people applied for these jobs. think we ended up hiring around 10,000 people for the opening of Wynn Las Vegas.
I was interviewed 4 times for this job. That was the most I'd ever been interviewed before in my life. 4 times, even with my experience. And yet, they got me in there.
I mean, it was all jobs, you know, from housekeeping to food servers to security to dealers, you know, you name it, like everybody was coming to hopefully get a job to work at Wynn.
Went through the interview process about 6 months before opening. I think it was a vacant lot with trailers, like nice trailers, but you know, went through that process. And
you know, like most of us were super nervous because getting this job, it was kind of like hitting the lottery, okay?
We all were new, so nobody really knew anybody. So we all had to kind of get to know one another quickly and start working hand in hand collectively.
There was a big sign over the ballroom that said something along the lines of like, welcome Wynn Pioneers, and you just felt like we were about to embark on something really special.
As soon as January 1 came and we were opening the end of April, the stress started to kick in.
And they said month and a half and they're gonna be opening. I said, it's never gonna be done.
We started probably 2 months before, adding shrubs, flowers, and just detail. It was crazy times. It was my first experience, you know, opening a casino.
And I was here April the 11th. So we had 17 days to get it ready.
I can specifically remember refrigerated trailers filled with nothing but buckets of roses from the back of the trailer to the end.
It was amazing how we did it. Madhouse, crazy, crazy madhouse.
Walking through what was becoming a great, beautiful property, and you were right behind the scene. You were seeing plastic wrapping beautiful centerpieces, people that were still telling them what to put the stuff.
Oh, leading up to it, yes. We was working out at traders. I work in uniforms, so everybody coming, they got to see us first. They're the first person they see.
Oh, it was a lot. It was a lot. Thousands and thousands, because every department had to be fitted for clothes.
It was really fun because we was meet everyone, making sure everybody's have uniforms fitted.
Pressure started building up. People's anxiety started building up. There was still a lot of work to be done.
It just, you knew, okay, now it's really crunch time.
So it was busy, 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 busy.
we were putting all the supplies in the rooms, you know, things like trash cans, things very simple. It's like we put it in the room, and no, that's on the sweet side. Usually employees running this way, and then, no, there. Where are you going with that? Why are you taking that? It goes like, oh my God.
When we first started working here, there weren't even names on the rooms. So we had to go set a room. We were like, we don't know, like the names weren't even on the rooms.
That everyone was helping out each other. From what I remembered, it doesn't matter if you're not in the same department. That's what each others do.
There was a buzz. You could feel the energy. Yeah, you could. Everybody was just excited. Excited to be here, excited to see everything.
Taking something from a blueprint and seeing it come to life. That's something that is really a lot of fun.
You see things on paper and you say this is gonna be here, this is gonna be there. You're a handful of days out, you're like, oh boy, I don't know if that one's I don't know if that one's gonna be ready or not, you know?
So the building was almost done. It was just like a little details that needed to be done.
This really sticks in my mind, to watch the workers take these tiny little mosaic tiles and place them specifically where they went.
Everything from the paintings to the ceiling, all the way to the marble. Someone put those in one by one. All the tiny little details coming together.
You gain a sense of ownership with it because it feels like it's your baby. You've been involved for so long.
Just knowing that everything we put into it, the blood, the sweat, the tears, was all coming to fruition. So I think we all had that hope.
And imagine what you were looking at on blueprints, and now I can see it in real life.
A resort in a building of this magnitude coming to fruition, and everything literally happening as we were getting ready to open.
Okay, so 20 years ago, it was a Wednesday afternoon, if I remember well.
They had Good Morning America in the lobby of the hotel, in the atrium. Our phone calls were off the charts. We actually had to have some staff from the front desk come up and help.
People were lined up all the way to the Sahara.
Yeah, there was a line well out the door and down the strip, people waiting with all the excitement.
I remember being at the Wynn main porte cochere, just waiting for those people to come in, and boy, were they there a little bit earlier in the day.
Yeah, I was there when the doors opened. Yeah, we were just waiting, right? Everyone was ready, kind of a nervous anticipation.
And here we are, by the main entrance. The VIP guests were already here, 200-300 of them, very well behaved. People were in place. The cocktail servers were ready to serve drinks. The dealers were at the tables. Front desk was ready to welcome the guests and check them in. We were ready. Everybody was well trained, and it felt very, very good.
A couple of us, I think, all felt the same way, which is we looked around and you realize this is the last time this is ours, that we own this thing, and that in a couple of minutes we're going to open the door and it'll never be this again.
Just enjoy this moment because it's never going to be the same once the doors open.
And once we open those doors to the public, the doors will never close. And so that, for me, that I was like, wow, you're right. And it was cool. So we all just kind of like took this moment.
And then around 11:30 p.m., that was the time. Let's open the doors to the public.
I'm Steve Wynn.
It's hard to describe in words.
Everything is in its place. I felt like it was a dream.
And it was just surreal. It was like nothing I ever seen.
I couldn't believe that they could build something, as beautiful as they did.
Everything was perfect. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I work for this company.
Open the doors, close the doors, open the doors, regulating the flow of guests walking in. We didn't want it to be overcrowded. We wanted to feel very natural.
So 1 minute completely empty, and then the next minute a sea of people.
So much people, trying to grab the machines that they like.
That first person to touch the slot machine or to put first bet on the table.
My mind was ready for the opening until the opening opened. And then we were like, people.
And then all of us looking at each other. Look at all those people walking in. What are they doing? They're not wearing booties. They're drinking, they're smoking, they have chewing gum. What are they going to do to our hotel that was so pristine? And that's it. It was not ours anymore. It was theirs.
Felt like we were welcoming guests into our living room and then welcoming them into our home.
It was like you were experiencing history.
They first came in the front door and wanted to see the whole casino. So we were all sitting on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, I was able to see people just pouring in.
Wow, because that was so I have to like, because I remember that day like today.
You couldn't really see the lobby, it was just packed, completely packed all over. All this work that everyone was working on all this time, and finally we're all here at this moment.
For an architect, it's probably one of the more important gratifications is to see people's experience and acknowledgement of something new and fantastic to see.
You just felt so much pride walking through the building.
It was fantastic. People were just hooting and hollering, screaming. They couldn't get to the doors fast enough.
Most of them were in awe. Look how beautiful. Here it is, we did it again. People were ecstatic. They were so surprised to see, for the first time, the inside of Wynn Las Vegas.
But then you open the doors and I remember thinking at the end of the day, because you emotionally, physically were exhausted, you finally got it there. And then to think, oh, we've got to come back and do this again for the rest of our lives, every single day. Was it another exhausting feeling, about it.
The pre-opening, and then you open, and then you operate, right? And yeah, that's kind of like, that's where the real work begins.
People don't realize we didn't just open our doors and become the Wynn. It took us a while to get really good at what we do. And even though I thought the opening was awesome, we've gotten so much better since we opened the doors here. It's not even close.
And then those, weeks and months after we opened,
all wheels are working and getting things moving. We realized, that we talked about it, there's just something different here. And it still feels that way.
You know, I think a lot about people I've worked with. The Wynn's expanded all over the globe. People that I've worked with are all over doing all kinds of things. And I think the Wynn has just had a really far-reaching impact on a lot of people's lives.
Man, give me goosebumps.
Understanding that you're a part of something bigger than you, and not that I realized that at the time, but that it would take care of me and my family for 20 years.
Me as a person, I changed since I started working here a lot. It's amazing how much you can learn on a place like this. Amazing.
You know, I was told that if you don't know the answer, you don't have to worry here because someone will have the answer for you. And till this day, that has been very true.
Familyness that we are, we're all close. Anything you need, everybody's there for each other.
It really is an astounding culture where everyone takes care of each other, everyone has each other's back, and in return, you're feeling comfortable and more than happy to pass that on to the guests, and the guests pass it on back, and it just goes around.
Thinking about all the times over the years, and wow, I'm gonna get a little emotional because every day, to me, is like the first day.
I feel like family, everybody family. This is my second home.
Where else are you gonna go to work for a company as great as ours? And you just sort of fall in love with it.
Time go fast. Time go fast and count every day and trying to do my best.
I put my uniforms on every day. I feel good. I feel happy. I feel proud of myself.
Every day. So today we give you the best. Tomorrow we give you more.
When I put on my uniform, I feel empowered.
Then I put on my uniform I love this place. Enjoy not every minute, every second of it.
My daughter was 4 months old when I started working here. And now she just started her sophomore year in college.
I started with little kids, and now I have professional daughters. I feel proud of myself for helping my family.
But when I do say family, I mention it because at one point in this time, both my parents worked here, both my kids worked here, my now son-in-law and daughter-in-law work here.
My wife works here, my sister-in-law works here, my brother-in-law works here, my niece works here. I brought them all over here because I wanted everybody to be part of the Wynn family, and we are.
I'm so proud to be a part of this family.
People get close and you care about each other. Good people bring out the good in people, you know, and it's really cool to see.
We're a huge team, and we're only as good as one another. Yeah, it's just amazing. People are amazing.
The high standards that we have here, and to be here for 20 years, that says a lot about me. And it says a lot about all of us. I think we should all be proud.
And so when we walk in, it's like, this is our place.
It's been an honor to stay here and work, and it's not just been a job, it's been my passion.
Who knew I'd get this emotional? Is this common?
I mean, phew, see what happens?
Everything you do in life, everything, no matter what it is, even in a simple thing, you put a higher standard to it. And that becomes you. And every day you come to work, you always feel like, this is the best decision I've ever made.
We want to show them, you know what, that was not a mistake. I deserve to be here, and I want to earn it, you know. So I love that.
I feel so proud to tell everybody I work at the Wynn.
Well, we set the standard in this town. It's always a nice day.
Very proud to be part of this amazing company.
I feel like I belong somewhere, and it's here.
Being part of it, being part of a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I received a long time ago, and I cherish every day, and I never take it for granted.
And every time people ask me where you work, I'm very proud to say I work for the finest hotel in the world, Wynn Las Vegas.
I am proud every day I come in this building. I think it's you feel a difference. I guess in a lot of ways that's what we always hoped it would be, you know. And I'm getting to the end of my career here, but you know, there's a lot of young people who've taken over who I know have that same feeling.
The Wynn Hotel is considered to be one of the best 5-star luxury hotels.